are making bank in ways everyone else isn't even aware of. If you watch until the end, you'll realistically learn more about money in this video than you did in an MBA course. Here are 15 investments rich people make the poor know nothing about. Number 1. Whiskey and wine. Here's something the average person doesn't understand. You get rich by selling things for profit. You stay rich by holding on to things that appreciate in value over time. And rich people love leveraging time for their financial gain. Let's take whiskey, for example. A 2023 whiskey isn't worth much, but a 20-year-old whiskey is. Poor people buy whiskey at the supermarket by the bottle. Rich people buy it at the distillery by the barrel. You don't even have to take physical possession of the barrels. Many of these distilleries or third-party providers will hold on to it for you and even arrange the sale when the time is right. For the distillery, this creates cash. They minimize the overhead while aging, and it mitigates the risk of losing money. And before you brush it off, aging whiskey generates 10 to 15% returns per year. And when it comes to wine, well, since 1988, investment-grade wines have seen a compound annual growth rate between 10 and 11%. In both cases, this is a higher return on investment than many other stocks. The S&P 500 has an average return of about 10% per year. Number 2. Collectibles. Rare books, comic books, toys, stamps, coins, sports memorabilia, sneakers, movie collectibles, trading cards. There's even a market for Hummel figurines. These bad boys sell for as high as $5,000 a piece. 2 years ago, in July 2021, a Pikachu Illustrator card sold for $5.275 million. That's one Pokemon card. A Superman #1 comic book sold for an astonishing $5.3 million. A pair of sneakers worn by Michael Jordan in the 1998 NBA Finals recently sold for $2.2 million, setting a new world record for the most expensive shoes ever purchased. And the list goes on, okay? If there's a demand for it, people will start bidding. But be careful. If the demand goes away, so will your money. We've seen this happen with both Beanie Babies and NFTs. With the rise of generative AI, the NFT art market went completely down the drain. Number 3. Luxury watches and purses. Have you ever noticed how rich men tend to collect watches and rich women have dressing rooms filled with luxury bags, more specifically with this particular model? This is the Hermès Himalayan Birkin, worth $500,000. And if more of them were to show up on the market, people would jump at the opportunity to snatch them up. Rich people focus on high-demand products that have a very limited supply. Most people don't know this, but you cannot walk into a Rolex or an Hermès shop and buy yourself the products. That's just not how it works in rich people land. The stores are mostly for display purposes only. If you qualify, meaning that if you align with the brand correctly, they'll put you on a waiting list and call you when the product becomes available. An Audemars Piguet Royal Oak has a waiting list of 2 years. It's the same with most Rolex watches and sometimes even with luxury cars. In the case of the Hermès Birkin bag, you buy your way up. You get on the waiting list and first they offer you a lower tier bag, which you have to purchase or else you'll not be invited back. If you keep on shopping with them, over time you'll build up enough social credit to be offered a Birkin bag. There are long waiting lists that can stretch up to 6 years just to buy yourself a bag. And what's more is, in the store, you'll pay between $10,000 to $15,000 for a Birkin bag, but the moment you walk out of the store with it, you could easily find buyers online for $30,000 to $40,000. The same thing happens with luxury watches. A Patek Philippe Nautilus, which will sell at retail between $30,000 to $50,000, will sell on the secondary market for over $100,000. Number 4. Private banking. You know how for most people keeping money in the bank is costing them money? They charge you when you deposit, they charge you when you withdraw, and they charge you just for keeping it there. Well, that's not what happens in the case of high net worth individuals. Rich people are treated very differently by banks. They call it private banking. This is what the average person gets for a savings account with, for example, the Bank of America. But know that it's a similar story with almost every other bank. The interest rate, how much money you will get for keeping your money with the bank, is 0.01%. Meaning that if you deposited $10,000 into a savings account for 12 months, one of the largest banks in the US will give you an interest rate of $1. Just $1. If you qualify for whatever Advantage Savings Diamond Honors means, they'll give you a whopping $4 as interest on the $10,000 deposit. This is hilarious. On $100,000, that's $10. On $1 million, the interest paid would be $100. And all of this happens in times when inflation is eating away at your buying power 5% plus year over year. Have you ever wondered what kind of return rich people get from keeping their money with the bank? Prepare to be shocked, okay? Most private banks yield an average between 7 to 13% yearly on cash deposited. Yup, while the bank is paying poor people $10 for every $100,000 deposited, that same bank is giving rich people $10,000 for every $100,000 deposited. In Europe, we received an offer for 8% state-guaranteed return on deposits over $100,000. Every bank has their own tier system, but you should be able to qualify for private banking services at around $250,000. Not to mention the plethora of perks the bank will give you once you are a top-tier client, like the concierge service, access to private events, memberships, and massive discounts on luxury products and experiences. Number 5. Art. Now, one of the most famous but also mysterious investments for the ultra-wealthy is fine art. Luxury, multi-million-dollar works quietly appearing in mansions and yachts via mysterious dealers, only making headlines when they sell for billions as a part of a tech CEO's collection. A large part of the $1 trillion plus art market is invisible if you're not in the 1%. And this exclusivity means the ultra-wealthy know art will behave differently as an investment. It's a market driven by those who actually grow richer in times of turmoil. People who then store that money in the form of famous artworks. Just look at the data. Last year, high net worth collectors doubled their spending on art, even as other markets around the world saw losses topping an unbelievable $36 trillion. Now here's the real secret. The billionaires haven't bought up all the art. The global value of art is expected to grow a whopping $1 trillion by 2026, which means there's still time for everyday investors. And that's why what Masterworks is doing is so special. In fact, to date, Masterworks' art investing platform has already sold over $45 million worth of artwork, with the net proceeds distributed straight to investors like you. With Masterworks, instead of buying an entire painting, you're investing in a portion of it, with the profits from reselling it split amongst the shareholders. Masterworks has gone 13 for 13 every single exit, handing back a return to investors like you. In fact, Masterworks just sold 2 more offerings while a banking crisis unfolds. With such an opportunity, it's understandable that there's a waitlist for most new investors to get onto the platform.